afternoon in the slum district of a big city. And here, in one of the few remaining cold water flats, lived a man named Arnold Matthews, a strange man whom no one in the neighborhood really knew.
Mr. Matthews? You in there, Mr. Matthews?
Doris, what are you doing? I told you time and again not to come in here. Nobody's to come in here.
I just thought I'd help you out, Mr. Matthews. I figured while you was out, I'd sort of surprise you and come in here and clean up a little bit. After all, my old man's the janitor around here. It's my job to come in.
I don't care what the reason is. I want this room left alone.
Why? What you got in here anyway? Some money hidden away? Yeah, but that's it, huh? You got some dough someplace?
Got nothing. Now get out of here.
Okay. Okay, I'm going. Only I thought you was a friend of mine, Mr. Matthews. I thought you kind of trusted me. After all, ain't you always said you wished you had a daughter just like me? All right. So you don't want me to be your friend no more. So that's all right with me, too.
Oftentimes, a criminal's efforts to achieve his goal will produce strange results. In some cases, his desire for dishonest gain will lead not to the fulfillment of that desire, but to the uncovering of a second person's criminal activities. And now, in my role as chief of the Intelligence Division, Internal Revenue Service, I'm going to tell you about just such a case. This is Treasury File 1138, Internal Revenue Service. The case of the man next door.
What you want?
Can I speak to you for a minute? I felt kind of bad about the way I yelled at you for coming into my room, and I wanted to make it up to you.
Forget it.
I shouldn't have talked to you that way. After all, you were only trying to help me. Well, I don't want you to be sore at me, Doris.
Who's sore? I just don't get you, that's all. You've been living up in that room for as long as I can remember. Yet nobody in the house even knows you. What are you afraid of?
What's anybody afraid of? People. The way they are, the way they treat you. You don't have anything to do with them, they can't hurt you.
Why should anybody want to hurt you? You say you ain't got no money hidden up in that room. What have you got that anybody'd want? No kidding, you always act like you ain't got a dime to your name. But you always pay your rent on time. When you do, you always got a big roll of bills on you, too.
Well, I have to carry money sometime. That's my job.
Doing what? You ain't no bank messenger. What do you carry it for?
Well, I lend it sometime.
You lend money? You're kidding. How can you make a living doing that?
Don't you do nothing but ask questions, Doris? Why do you want to know so much about me all of a sudden?
Because I like you, Mr. Matthews.
I'll see you again, Doris.
Yeah, sure. Hey, Pop, watch the stove, will you? I'll be right back. I tell you, Charlie, this guy's got dough, and he's got plenty of it. And if it ain't hidden away in that room somewhere, he's got it stashed away someplace else. He's much as told me so tonight.
Sure, he's a millionaire. That's why he's living in a dump that ain't even got hot water.
Well, he's funny that way. You know, funny up here, You read about guys like that, ain't you? Guys that squeeze nickels and dimes, and all the time they got a whole trunk load of dough stashed away in a closet or something?
Sure, I've read about them all right. Only this guy ain't one of them.
And I'm telling you, he is, Charlie. I've been watching this guy. I've been watching him for months now. Playing up to him, making him think I care whether he's got pneumonia or not, and he loves it. I'm practically the only friend he's got.
So what does that prove? Look, I ain't gonna bust into a guy's room and take a chance of going back to jail just because you think I might be able to pick up a few bucks there.
It's more than just a few bucks, Charlie. A job like this could give us a real chunk of dough. Just the kind of dough we need to get married on. Well, think about it, will you? I can't do it all by myself.
Okay, sweetie, I'll think about it all right. But answer me one question. This guy's got real dough. How'd he make it? What's his racket, huh?
You know, it's the one thing I can't figure out. So far as everybody in that neighborhood knows, this guy ain't done nothing. Nothing but work in a junkyard.
The Internal Revenue Service gets leads on income tax cases in many ways. This one came from a Detroit office, where a Mr. Renzani, a shoemaker, in explaining a deduction in his tax return, claimed that he had paid several $100s in interest on a loan obtained from a junk dealer whose name was Matthews. His name is Matthews, Arnold Matthews.
And the report from the district office says he's been operating some sort of a personal loan business?
Well, not officially, Weston. He has no license to operate as a loan broker, and he has no office. But apparently, he has been lending money to acquaintances of his and charging not only interest, but commissions as well.
Well, has he reported any of this income in his tax returns?
Not a penny. He lists his occupation as junkman, and there's no reference whatsoever to any other sources of income. And furthermore, his earnings have never been more than $1,700 a year, according to the figures on his tax returns.
Well, I certainly think this is worth looking into, Chief.
Well, that's why I sent for you, Weston. Now, this Matthews case may be a simple oversight on his part and not amount to very much. But when a man in that income bracket makes $500 loans and charges commissions on them, well, it could be a very different matter.
You saw him. You actually saw him lend the butcher's wife $200 in cash, huh?
I was there, honey. I came in just as he was giving her the money. And I talked to her afterwards. I tell you, this guy's got some kind of a racket.
He's got that kind of dough to pass around. Maybe he has it that. How much do you think he's got stashed away? $600-700?
Maybe more. Maybe $2 or $3 grand. I tell you, he told me his business was lending money.
That don't mean he's got it hidden in his own room.
Well, we can find out, can't we? After all, I got a key to that room. What's to keep us from going in there looking around when he ain't there?
How you gonna know that? How you gonna be sure he won't come back and walk in on us?
Because he told me he's going out of town. He's going up to Ferndale on business tonight.
Okay, sweetie. We'll go over that room with a fine-tooth comb. You just give me a buzz as soon as the coast is clear and I'll come right over, huh?
You got a light, Mr. Matthews?
Oh, sure.
I've been out of matches all day.
I got a lot of them. People will leave them laying around, and then they wonder why they never have no money or nothing. You can keep them.
Thanks, Mr. Matthews.
Oh, I got something else for you, too, Doris. I meant to stop by and leave them for you. Here. Try them on. See how you like them.
Gloves.
Well, I was afraid to give them to you at first. I was afraid you might laugh at me.
Don't be silly. I wouldn't do nothing like that.
I didn't know. Wouldn't be the first time I was laughed at by a girl. Maybe that's why I never had none.
Wait a second. Where you going?
It's getting late. I gotta catch a bus.
To Ferndale?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, maybe I'll see you around tomorrow.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the gloves, Mr. Matthews.
Hello?
Yeah. Yeah, this is me. When? Just now, huh? Okay, sweetie, I'll be right over. $11. 11 lousy bucks and a notebook with a lot of names and figures in them. Junk, that's all it is.
Be here, Charlie. We must have missed him.
How? We've been over every inch of this joint, including the floor. All he's got here is bills, junk receipts, old pieces of paper. I knew he had the wrong dope. We've doused the light.
Charlie.
Somebody here? Somebody in here?
Come on, let's get out of here.
You shouldn't have done it, Charlie. You shouldn't have touched it.
Come on.
Excuse me. Does Mr. Matthews live here?
Yeah, that's right. What you want?
I'd like to speak to him, if I may. My name is Weston, Internal Revenue Service.
Sorry, mister. Mr. Matthews ain't around.
You know where I can find him?
Yeah, only I don't know whether he can talk to you or not. See, we had a little excitement around here last night. Mr. Matthews got hurt.
No? What happened?
Well, I don't know exactly. Somebody must have busted into his room because he got hit on the head. They took him to the hospital to kind of look him over.
You know the name of the hospital?
Yeah. Got it right here.
Thank you.
Internal Revenue Service, huh? What's Matthews done, mister? What you want him for?
Oh, I don't really want him for anything. I just want to talk to him.
What about? About his income tax, huh? Mr. Matthews been making a lot of money lately?
Why? What makes you think he's been making a lot of money?
Just asked.
Do you know anything about the money he makes? Has he ever talked to you about it?
A couple of times. Of course, he never said nothing about how much, but Treasury wants to see him. It must be plenty, huh?
Well, we can talk about it some other time. Meanwhile, I want to talk to Mr. Matthews. Good day, miss, and thank you.
Funny, ain't it, the way things like this happen. I was supposed to go to Ferndale last night, but the bus broke down, so I turned around and went back to my room. If it hadn't been for that, I wouldn't have got hurt.
Well, getting back to these personal loans you've been making, Mr. Matthews, you said a little while ago that you don't make a business of it.
Of course not, Mr. Weston. I'm a poor man. Oh, I lend a few dollars here and there if a friend of mine needs the money, but I don't charge no commission for it. No commission unless I have to go out and borrow the money myself. Then I got to cover expenses.
Do you have any bank accounts, Mr. Matthews?
Of course not. Like I said, I've been a junk man all my life, and you don't make much doing that. What'd you fellas down in Washington think I was up to, anyway?
Just checking, that's all. Sorry to trouble you. Hope you'll be on your feet again real soon.
Yeah, thanks. Sure was good of you, Doris, coming all the way down to the hospital to pick me up and help me get home. I don't know how to thank you.
It's all right, Mr. Matthews. I wanted to.
Well, I sure do appreciate it. Like I said so many times, you're the only person in the whole world who ever treated me like I was...
Come on in, Mr. Matthews. My name's Charlie.
Charlie? Who is this?
Go ahead, baby. Tell him.
Sit down, Mr. Matthews. This may take a while.
What?
See, Charlie and me figured out something about you, Mr. Matthews. You're a pretty rich man.
What do you mean?
This business you're in, loaning money to people, pays off pretty good, don't it? You see, the way we figure it, according to your books and papers and stuff, you must be making close to 10 or 12 grand a year. Maybe more.
Doris, I don't understand you.
Sure. Sure, I know this comes as a big shock to you, Mr. Matthews. But you see, Charlie and me, we need some dough. We figure it must be worth something to you for us to keep our mouths shut.
You don't really mean what you're saying, Doris.
Don't I? Look, there was a government guy around here yesterday looking for you. If he was to find out what's in this here book, it'd cost you a lot more than you're going to have to pay us. So you see, Mr. Matthews, we're really saving you some dough.
Give me this.
Sit down, Matthews, and listen to reason. You're liable to get hurt. Now, let's figure out a little deal.
No, I won't do it. I won't give you a cent. It's just blackmail, that's all it is.
Now, what's what you've been doing? Making loans to shoemakers and butchers and farmers out Ferndale way and charging 5 times more than it's legal to pay. What do you call that? And what do you call gypping the government out of its income taxes, Matthews?
I never did. You got the whole thing wrong. I was just making a couple of extra bucks for myself. Not what you think, just a couple of extra bucks.
Yeah? Well, according to what it says in your book, you've got over 100 grand. 100 grand loaned out at 25 to 30% a year. That's a couple extra bucks, all right.
So?
Well, how much do you want? How much do you want to keep quiet about it?
Half, Mr. Matthews. Just exactly half. If we was real mean, we could have taken more.
Oh. What's the story on Matthews, Weston? Sit down.
Well, thank you.
You found any bank accounts of his? Any hidden properties?
No, sir, not yet. But I've made a few inquiries around town about these loans he's been making. And the information I have doesn't jibe at all with his tax returns.
Oh?
I've spoken to at least 5 people he's loaned money to in the past 8 months. And when I spoke to him at the hospital, he claimed there were no loans outstanding.
What about past loans? Have you been able to get a line on how much interest he's collected for any taxable years?
No, sir, I haven't had a chance to compile any figures yet, at least nothing we could use for an indictment. But when I go back there this time, I'll really do a full-scale investigation.
All right, Weston, go after him.
Yes, sir.
Oh, and as soon as you feel you have enough for an indictment, let me know.
Right.
Since Arnold Matthews' standard of living appeared to be far below what his suspected income would warrant, Agent Weston made no effort to determine his expenditures over the past years. Instead, Weston kept him under surveillance in an effort to find out just how many loans he had been making and the amount of interest he had been collecting on them. From local storekeepers like Mr. Renzani, Weston learned the names and addresses of various people who had borrowed money from Matthews, and each of these persons was subsequently questioned in detail. From the information he gathered, Weston was able to compile an impressive list of some 300 people who had paid Matthews interest and commissions on money they had borrowed from him. A list which included sums as low as $5 and as high as $6,000 for home mortgages. Meanwhile, neither Arnold Matthews nor his new partners were aware of the investigation.
Well, why don't you say something, Mr. Matthews? Don't you like my new dress?
Yeah. This is the first good use your money's been put to, Matthews. Why don't you enjoy it?
Enjoy what? Seeing you spend my money?
Oh, this is what money's for, Mr. Matthews, not to stick away in some place while you spend all your time in this crummy room.
We ought to take a bigger cut than a crummy 50%. We're giving you an education. We're really showing you what money's for.
But you can't spend my money like a couple of drunken sailors. It's all I've got. It's taken me 15 years to get it.
I bleed for you.
15 years of skimping and saving and putting away every nickel so as I could lend it as soon as it was enough.
Well, ain't that just too bad? I keep thinking of the years I put in stealing apples off push carts and doing 2-bit jobs and getting 30-day raps thrown at me. Well, that's over from now on. We're gonna live it up, Matthews, thanks to you.
Doris, my money.
You and your money. Does it hurt you to buy me a dress like this? Does it make your skin crawl every time you spend $1? What kind of a man are you anyway, Matthews? Living in a cold water room like this, sleeping on a bed like that, staying by yourself all the time when all the time you got loans up to $100,000 in this town.
And why do you think I live this way like a hermit? Because I want to? No. Because you try to be friends with people and they hurt you. They hurt you every time. They take your money and then they laugh at you. Like you're doing now.
Well, why don't you laugh a little?
At what? At being a junk man all my life? You know what it's like being a junk man? To have people look at you like you were something out of a garbage can? Like you're too dirty to walk on the sidewalk? Have them argue with you because you won't give me your hard-earned money for an old piece of junk that we're going to throw away anyway?
Oh, relax, Matthews, relax. You're a rich enough junk man to keep us happy.
You don't even know what I'm talking about, do you? And you never knew. All you ever wanted was the money. The money. Well, you're not going to get it. Let go. You're not going to get it. Let go.
Come on, baby. Drink up. We're going to celebrate.
While Doris Brandon and Charlie Poole were celebrating the advent of their newly found fortune, Special Agent Weston was in the county clerk's office completing the evidence that was destined to take it away from them. The land office records of the mortgages which Matthews held were registered. Hello. Oh, yes, Weston. I see. And you think you've got enough to recommend prosecution? Well, that's fine. Huh? Good idea. You do that right away.
Apartment. That's what I want. My own little apartment, Troy. I don't have to live in hotel rooms anymore. Yeah, and it's gonna have mirrors all over the place and a portable bar. That's what I always wanted. A portable bar with my initials on it.
You've had enough, Charlie. Don't you think you've had enough?
Oh, what are you talking about? It's a celebration, ain't it? Look, don't be a killjoy. If I want to drink, I'm gonna drink.
What you want, mister?
Get out of here, will you? We're having a celebration here.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but this gentleman and I want a word with Mr. Matthews. It's about your tax returns. I'd like to speak to you in private, if I may, and go over some of your calculations.
Oh, he ain't done nothing, mister. What you worried about?
Of course not. He's an honest guy. You got nothing on him. And besides, you leave him alone, because he's going to buy me a portable bar with my initials on it.
Am I? First you were going to blackmail me, now you're worried about the government getting my money.
You shut up.
Why should I? Why should I let you get it? What do I care about you or anybody else? I'd rather see my money go down the drain than go to you.
Keep your mouth shut.
Not now, I won't. I'll tell you anything you want to know.
I said shut up. You don't pay no attention to him, mister. He don't know what he's talking about. He's always paid the government what he owed him.
Have you, Mr. Matthews? I'd like to discuss this with you alone.
I'll tell you everything, mister. I'll tell you all the money I've made, everything.
I said shut up, you crazy fool.
Thousands of dollars, thousands. And I never told anybody because I was afraid they'd send me to jail for charging too much interest.
Weren't you afraid of going to jail for evasion of income taxes?
Me? An old man like me? Who'd ever figure me for making a lot of money? Nobody. Nobody knew. Almost nobody.
Okay, Charlie, come on, get up. The party's over.
There's a portable bar with my initials on it.
Incredible as it seems, Arnold Matthews, who owned only one suit of clothes and never allowed himself the luxury of hot running water, was worth approximately $137,000. In testifying at his trial, Matthews said that he could never afford to spend any money on himself because he was always too much in a hurry to lend it out at usurious rates. For not reporting the income from these loans, Matthews was convicted of income tax evasion and sentenced to a term of 3 years. He faces a state charge of usury upon the completion of this sentence. Charles Poole and Doris Brandon, who were charged by local authorities with assault and attempted extortion, were also convicted.